Ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't be happier right now. Talking to Rasmus Andersen. Where are you? Because you are all over the world.
Well, right now I'm in San Diego. Yeah, like we used to travel a lot, Lauren and I, but COVID made that a little bit more difficult. So actually, the past couple of years has been pretty idle lately, I would say, in terms of the travel. So right now in San Diego, can't see the sun. I don't have any windows I can show you, but sunny San Diego. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay, I was there 2 days ago, so we could have done this live.
That would have been better.
Uh, um, how long are you in San Diego?
That is unknown. Well, actually, it's not because I'm leaving in 7 days. Actually, on Wednesday, I'm going to Iceland for a little bit.
And Iceland is not home. Denmark's home, correct?
Denmark's home, yes. So
Okay.
Denmark is home. That's still what I. Well, do you know these days it's kind of strange. I kind of call Denmark home, but I also call San Diego home. So I'm like caught in between. I'm not really sure what's considered home.
I gotcha. Okay. I think you were on the Wadcast like 8 years ago.
Was it really?
I I think it was at the CrossFit Games. You sat down with us for a little bit
Oh,
outside.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Do you know? I would like to think my English has gone a little bit better since then. So like, this would be a good. It would be a good retake.
But it was fun then because it was like, oh, we have this like Nordic Viking guy coming on the show who
That's
just
funny. I didn't know that.
who
When did we do that? Where at? Like in Carson?
I think it was at Carson, and I think it was backstage, like backstage. I call it like it's a like a theater. We were sitting at some picnic tables, and you came over and did the show for a while. I don't think you were on long. I think you just did like
Oh,
because
this is cool.
it's when you were competing. So uh, yeah, I'm almost positive.
Carson.
There are so many people that have been on the show. We've done 500 episodes, over 500.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
And
crazy.
there'll be people like, Eddie, you don't remember talking to me? We had like an hour long. I was on your show. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Well, to be fair, if you saying 8 years ago, there was a lot of stuff going on in my mind back then because that was close to when I moved over here. So like my mind were just going like probably 200 miles an hour back then. Just so many things going on, and finally, like, well, still a lot of things going on, but in different ways these days. But things at least have settled a little bit in terms of that.
But back then you were competing against your now wife's brother, I believe.
Yes, good
That
good
must,
introduction to the family. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that must have been interesting. Were you guys competitive?
Yeah, I think everyone at the CrossFit Games are competitive. Yeah, so no, certainly. I'd like to get his perspective on this, but yeah, no, yeah, it was. It wasn't even awkward or anything like that, to be honest, because we were also from California. So like back in the days when you had regionals and super regionals, there was a little bit of that like. There was certainly rivalry between us, but at the same time, we were from the same region. So there was like we also kind of like became almost friends, like that group from each region that qualified because we were at the same regionals, we qualified together, and that sense we almost became friends, quote unquote, but still competitors. So no, to be honest, no, it was never awkward or anything like that. It was more than anything, honestly, it was kind of fun. We had some good times.
Was he working out at Invictus then?
In the beginning, no. So when we first competed, he was still up in Northern
In NorCal,
California.
yeah.
But then he moved to Miami for a little bit to coach Rick Ross over there,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's and yeah, exactly, and that we still say that sometimes too. But then he made his way to San Diego after that. So we got some times in the beginning where we did not train together, but just competed against each other, and then towards the end, or later on, we started training together and competing against each other still.
Yeah, but you've never been on a team together.
No, not for
Okay.
Garrett.
How long did Garrett train Rick Ross for?
I do not forget, but it was. I mean, it was a period of like at least half a year. I want to say, maybe even more than that. It might have been a
Wow.
full year because it was during his 2000 and was that 16 season? I think it was. So it was for a little bit. Yeah.
So he was competing and training him.
Okay, I got to be careful what I say here, but I do think that was maybe not one of his best years. So I think that was
That would be impossible
right.
because
I think exactly. You're right. Yeah.
celebrities are the most difficult people in the world, and they need like you have to be at their beck and call. And I can just imagine. And when you're training for the CrossFit Games, you've got to be like, completely 100% focused. I can just imagine that's like saying, I'm going to school to be a doctor and a lawyer at
Yes.
the same time.
It does not work. It just
I,
doesn't work.
I
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Like he didn't qualify that year from what I recall. So I guess yeah, it was hard for, and it was also not only like right, like not only did he coach Rick Ross, but he also moved to Miami and lived all of a sudden in a new city, a new place. So there's just a lot of stuff I imagine in his life going on at that point in time. So yeah, it probably hard to keep focused during that time.
okay, so you're do you split time between Denmark and San Diego, or do you mostly San Diego? What's the
No, it's mostly San Diego. That's also why we kind of call this home now. Like, no, we have a house here, Lauren and I, and we like in the San Diego. That's what we call, I guess, home. But it's hard because like we have a business here now, and even before the business, then it was still training, and like a 24-hour flight across the world just doesn't go very well with training. So no, it's for the past like almost 10 years now. It's been San Diego most of the time, and just visiting Denmark on occasions.
what part of San Diego?
A little bit all over. Right now, La Mesa, but like
Okay.
before that, downtown.
If you go to your Instagram, which I did, and looked,
Oof.
you do not post.
Yeah, I'm
Ever.
taking the approach of I don't even know what approach. I was going to say something about like little is more, or I'm keeping very exclusive. No, I. Do you know what? It's one of those things where for a long time, as a competitor in CrossFit, you have to do Instagram. It's just part of, especially. Well, let's take it a step back. Like if you're a male CrossFit athlete, specifically male or even female for that matter, but a little bit harder as a male, like, you don't make much off of competing. So you have to make a little bit of a living through sponsorships, and the ways you make the money through sponsorships are mainly through Instagram, right? Or it's now being other platforms too, but Instagram specifically back then was a big thing. So I've never been a big proponent of social media. Like I think it came with a lot of good things when social media was introduced, but I also think it comes with a lot of downside and negative sides of things to the social media these days. So I've always been kind of on the fence of what of social media, how to use it, and so yes, during my competitive years, I used it quite a bit for specifically because it was sort of a mandatory thing if I wanted to get any income from it. And then when I was like saying finally like yeah, I'm no longer competing, I decided that hey, like just it's not worth my time. I just it's
No,
a time.
God, if I wasn't in the entertainment business, I'd never be on it.
Oh,
I
thank
look
you. I'm glad you have the same perspective. It
Oh
makes it easier.
God, I despise it. I look at it as though it's like taking a shit, like a gross shit. Like you have to do it, but
Yes.
but you don't like it. It's not
Yeah.
like I walk out of the bathroom like, wow. I mean, some people do, but
Some people do.
it depends on what you just did in there. But uh I no, I look at it as though it's like a necessary evil.
Yeah.
And it's so ubiquitous that you can't get away from it. So
Hmm.
you can't be that guy that's like, I'm not going to do it at all.
Hmm.
If you're trying to, there's, a majority of the businesses these days. So
Yep.
you just have to find the way to do it. It's okay. I'm going to look at it like, and the people that work with me are not going to enjoy this, but I'm going to look at it like my cleaners, my garbage man, all the people that I hire to do the jobs that I absolutely detest. I don't want to clean my house. I don't want to clean my
Hmm.
toilets. I don't want to take out my trash. So I have garbage men that do that. I have a cleaning lady that does that. And that's what I look at social media for me. I
Hmm.
don't want to do it. I don't want to be part of it. I find myself as soon as I start scrolling, I'm on it. And an hour later, it's like I was in a time machine.
And you're
And I
still
was like,
scrolling, right? Yeah.
what did I do? Now
Yeah.
I'm depressed because everybody in the world's doing stuff better than I've ever done it.
Exactly
And,
right.
just like
That's so true. So true.
funnier,
But you know,
better, like better look. Every aspect of like the best of everything's on there. And I just feel completely inadequate. And I'm like,
yes, that's what it
it's,
does.
yeah.
But that's why I think like you can also, that's why like it has two sides to it, right? Because it can also be used for good things, and that's why like if I could go back in time, I probably wish I would have done a better job at this. But like it can be used for really good things too, like education or
Hmm.
specific
Hmm.
education, right? But it can also be used just like being the opposite, not trying to like always, because that's what I did. I always try to show my best lift, right? I mean, that's how you get sponsors, right? That's how you show it you're worthy of like these sponsorships, and that's why you should be getting paid more, and that's why you make the, so you try to really just, hey, I'm not going to show these 10 failed lifts I just did, but the number 11 that I finally did well, like I'm going to show that. But going back and looking hindsight, I wish I could have done a better job at like maybe be showing more of the true side of it. And that's why the one thing Lauren has done a really good job with. She's very authentic and very real. She's trying to be, at least on the social media. and that's one thing that I wish I could have done better. So like, at some point, who knows? Maybe I'll make my way back to Instagram, social media if I feel like I have something better to say. But until then, I decided that, hey, like it's not really worth my time.
There are some good aspects to it, like you said, information
Certainly.
and learning and
Hmm.
and progression. I believe that all sports and things, art and comedy, whatever, it all progresses because people are seeing other people learning what they do and then
Absolutely.
going further with it. Um, I don't know though. Like my niece the other day had her prom,
Yeah.
and my sister was telling me, she's like, it wasn't like when we had prom. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, they go take the photos and then they go home and upload their photos. And then they all talk online about their photos. I'm like, they didn't go to like after prom and they didn't. She's like, not really. They're just all about kind of the photos and the
I know.
social media aspect of it. And they're with their friends, but they leave their friends to then go talk to their friends online.
I'm like, gosh,
And I'm
like
just
it's a tough one. It was a tough one too because like there's no like this conversation is really going different direction than I thought, but it's really interesting, right? But it's one of those things that like there's no doubt that we headed that direction, right? And I think we might as well try to face it and try to make the best out of it. And I'm
right.
not saying it's a bad thing, but there is no doubt that like virtual reality, artificial intelligence, technology is just getting so good, and it's becoming more and more a bigger part of everyone's life, especially the younger generation, right? So there's no doubt we're headed that way. Where like, yeah, we take a quick photo and then we go home and post it. What worries me is that when you then go home and you post and you put like 300 filters on it and you Photoshop
Hmm.
like the different
Hmm.
things out of it and then you post it, and then like if that's all you do, I think that is like that's my concern. Like I really think that that's where like the education aspect and like telling people that like, hey, like just what you see online is not always the full truth, and you got to be careful. But it's kind of scary because it has some really big downsides to it, and that's why specifically the females. I think they're younger generation females are the one that are really
Being
really
affected by it.
vulnerable. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and I think that's the dangerous part of it.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because if you go to your Instagram, it looks like you retired yesterday. And